Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the steamy world of ancient Rome, specifically the famous Roman baths. Now, when you picture a Roman bath, you probably imagine a luxurious, serene spa, a place of relaxation, beautiful mosaics, and maybe some sophisticated philosophical discussions. It was the social hub of the Roman world, a place for business, leisure, and getting clean. But what if I told you that idyllic image is only half the story? What if the reality was far more disgusting than you've ever been led to believe? Let's strip away the marble facade and get into the grimy details. The Romans didn't have soap as we know it. Their method of getting clean involved slathering oil all over their bodies and then scraping it off, along with all the dirt and sweat, using a tool called a strigil. Now, where do you think all that oily, sweaty human grime went? That's right. It was often washed right back into the very same pool everyone else was bathing in. And we're not just talking about one person's worth of scraped-off filth. The baths were public and incredibly popular, so imagine hundreds of people a day, all shedding their daily grime into the same shared water. And it gets worse. The Romans saw the baths as a multi-purpose facility. That meant people didn't just bathe there. They exercised, they wrestled, and sometimes they even relieved themselves right there in the water. While larger bath complexes had separate latrines, many smaller ones didn't, and convenience often won out. Archaeologists have found that the water in these pools was rarely changed, creating a warm, stagnant breeding ground for all sorts of nasty bacteria and parasites. In fact, Roman medical texts are filled with descriptions of eye infections, skin diseases, and intestinal problems that doctors directly linked to visiting the public baths. One Roman writer, Seneca, who lived right above a bathhouse, complained endlessly about the noise, the grunts of weightlifters, the slaps of masseurs, and the shouts of people having their armpit hair plucked. But beneath that noise was a less obvious, but far more stomach-churning reality. Now you might be thinking, surely they had some form of sanitation. Well, yes and no. The Romans were brilliant engineers, and their aqueduct systems were revolutionary. They brought fresh water into the cities, and some larger baths had continuous water flow. However, this wasn't the case everywhere. For many, the water was a shared, murky soup. They also used disinfectants, but these were often things like urine, which, while containing ammonia, adds a whole new layer of ick to the situation. Think about it. You're trying to get clean in a giant warm bathtub shared with hundreds of your closest, sweatiest neighbors, with no chlorine, no soap, and with scraped-off body oil, and who knows what else floating around. It was less of a spa day and more of a bacterial party. So, why did they do it? Despite the obvious health risks we can see today, the social benefits were just too great to pass up. The baths were central to Roman life. It's where deals were made, friendships were forged, and social status was displayed. It was the equivalent of a modern-day community center, gym, and coffee shop, all rolled into one. For the Romans, the social connection was worth the risk of getting an eye infection. They simply didn't have the modern understanding of germ theory that we do. To them, the warmth of the water and the act of scraping the skin was the very definition of cleaning. It's a fascinating and, frankly, a pretty gross reminder that our concept of hygiene is a modern invention. The next time you see a movie glorifying the Roman baths, just remember what was really lurking beneath the surface. Thanks so much for hanging out and exploring this grimy side of history with me. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Let me know in the comments what piece of history you'd like me to uncover next. See you in the next video.